Okay, here's one you don't see every day. Actually, you see Palomar 300As. They're not that hard to find, but this one's very clean. Look at this one. This is underneath. Shiny. We like it clean. Basically, the power supply board, the high voltage, and the blue cap on top right there is the low voltage. The high voltage diodes. That in between there is the low voltage diode. Over here is the driver board. This trimmer here, this amp has input tuning, and that's the input tuning coil, and that's the input tuning tuner. That pot there is for the meter. Over here is the bias board. One of those is the bias for the finals. One of those is the bias for the driver. I already did one on the driver. This is the only amp I know of that has when you go on low and high. When you go on low on this one, it bypasses the driver tubes. So you can actually put it on low and run 100 watts into the 4 finals. That's from the book, from the factory. That's not from me. And what that does, it bypasses the 2 driver tubes, and your drive comes into that switch and tuner there, and that tunes the watts coming in when the amp is on low. So your watts coming in on low go into there, you tune it there, and then they go into the final tubes. And on high, the watts come into the driver tubes through that coil, that tuner, driver tubes, and then they go into the finals. This one has the updated safety high voltage relay. That relay only kicks in when the amp is in operate. So therefore, the high voltage only goes to the tubes when the amplifier is in operate condition. Actually, it doesn't even go to the high voltage board. It takes the high voltage winding and goes through the relay. So it's not even high voltage going into the board unless you key it down. When you key it down, it puts the high voltage into the high voltage board and you get high voltage out. Earlier, Palomars didn't have that relay, so they had the high voltage going across into the tubes at all times. So you could leave it up in standby, and if one of those tubes arced or something funky happened, the amplifier could go up in smoke even in standby. So what they did is they added that safety relay to most of them. Some of them they put on the board right there, but that's about it. I went through these before. This is a very clean 300A Blackface. Come on off of here. Face is not mint, but it's very good. I haven't even dusted it or anything yet, but it's very good. Power supply, really good. Covers, I may do another one with the covers on it coming up. And then that's it from the top. And I'm going to turn it on while I'm doing that. Well, I just had it plugged in. I usually unplug it before I move it around, like a double safety in case I accidentally hit the on switch when I move them around or bump it or something. So normally I turn it off at the on switch, and I turn it off or unplug it over here at the circuit breaker or power strip. Turn the power strip off or unplug it. That way if I bump it or forget one, I usually double it, and like I did, I forgot to double it on that one. But anyway, that's just a safety thing. Over here you got the driver tubes, driver tuning circuit. This one has that big coil, but it only uses 4 turns, if you can zoom in because it's live now. And that tap right there in the center, that's factory. That's not me, for you guys that's talking about my soldering. I stripped the amp the other day, just stripped it, didn't do any soldering, didn't do nothing to it, and somebody said, man, your soldering sucks, you're a mud duck. I thought that was funny because I didn't do any soldering. I just stripped an amp and took some parts out, but didn't do any soldering yet on it. So talk about my work, talk about me if you want to. So these are the final tubes. The final tune cap here, load cap here. This one has all the ham band switch still in it. For 10 meters, 11 meters, I always say 4 turns. That's about 3.5 on this one, but they're very close together. So it's kind of equivalent to the 4 turns. That's the only coil that is used on this amp for 10 meters. The rest of the coil over here is got the taps for 15, 20, and I think all it goes to is 40 meters on this one. And the other thing this one does, it runs all 3 of the tune caps on 10 through 40 meters, so it's no switching there. But for 10 meters, it only runs that section of this 3-section cap, that section right there. These other 2 sections are switched in. I think the way this one works is on 20 meters it switches in the second one also, so it's running 2, and on 40 meters it switches in all 3 through the band switch right there. But on 10-15 meters it only uses that one because you don't need a lot of capacitance for 10-15 meters. You need about 50 picofarads, and you need about 150 picofarads for the load. Even though it probably doesn't need all 3 of those capacitors, but you know, why not? It's not too much to use them. You're just going to tune it, you know, toward the open position, you know, more than the closed, to get that 150 picofarads with all 3 tuned up. The band switch also switches in the coil over here for your driver tubes. It's been said, I've never tried it, but it's been said that both Palomar amps and DNA amps, even ones with all the band switch and the band stuff in there, ham band stuff in there, they will not load past 15 meters. You can get them to load on 10, 12 meters, 11 I guess, even though that's illegal. But you can't get them to load on 20 and 40 meters, both the DNA and the Palomars. That's been said, but I haven't tried it. Anyway, I've been running my mouth enough. We're on high and watt meters on average. Watt meter on the left is on 20 watt scale. That's the watts going into it. And the watt meter on the right is on the 2000 watt scale. So it's about 2.5 watts going in audio. Got a little squeal with the camera and the mic over the amplifier. Too much going on. See how I get close to it? I get the squeal there. And it's going about 250. Uh-oh, unplugged the mic. Just had the mic stuck in here. Glad it didn't fall into the amplifier. But I guess if it unplugged it, unkeyed it. There you go. Just pulled it out right there. I'm going to screw it down a little bit this time. I was playing around with mics. It's late. Gotta forgive me. Alright. And keying it down again. It's dead keying about 150. Audio. Going about 225. With only about 2.5 watts in, swinging to 4. Audio. And lastly, that's going to put it on peak. We'll put the radio on peak too. So 20 watts going in on peak. So we're doing about 10 watts, 12 watts into it, peak. And I got my squeal because I'm over the amp with the mic and the camera, and it's picking up something. So it's doing 350 peak watts. Pulling the mic away so the squeal will go away. Yeah, look at that. Put it back over here, and there's my squeal because I got the mic too close to the amp. Audio. Doing about 350 peak watts. Running clean, running quiet. Very nice, very clean. Palomar 300A Blackface. I like it clean, and I like Palomars. One of the best, sweep tube amps made. Don't do a ton of watts, probably with a little bit better tubes it could do 400 or 500, but that's it. These are not super duper powerhouses, but they're very nice, very well built. They do what they do, and they work. We like them. Alright, that's it for this pretty clean Palomar 300A Blackface. Another new toy. Bye.